proposed to have 2 licensing periods for car registration plates in 2013.
Thank you, Count Corla, and thank you for selecting this topic for discussion today. I'm very glad to see the Minister is in the House to reply to me. I'm raising the issue of licence plates because we're getting close to January, which is the busiest time of the year for our motor trade, and there are serious concerns within the industry that this will be another year of declining sales and declining trade. And we've seen the effects of the last 5 years of the recession and what they've had on the motor trade. You just have to drive around the streets. I know from driving around Ashburn or Drogheda 5 years ago, all the licence plates were 07 and 08, and now they're still 07 and 08 because the trade in new vehicles has declined. The figures that we've seen are very worrying. New car sales are down by over 50%. In the last 5 years. Commercial vehicle sales have gone down by 72%. And the industry is looking into next year and wondering what the future has in store for them. And it stands right now that as we look at things, there are 2 key concerns for the industry. The first is the impact of additional taxation in next month's budget. The second is the New Year's licence plate. The fact that in each year we issue just 1 licence plate at the beginning of the year, just in January, means that what happens is we front-load all the vehicle sales to the January, February and March months. And if you look at the figures for each year, that contention is borne out. For instance, last year, 21,000 cars were sold in January, but only 4,000 were sold in July. The UK had a similar problem to this a few years ago, but they changed their system. So now they have new licence plates in January and in July of every year. And that's led to a flattening out of demand, an increase in demand, but also a flattening out over the year. And it's one of the reasons for that is due to the dual registration system they have here. As I said, 60% of our sales are in January, February and March of each year, and that's something that we feel should be changed, because we feel that if we introduced a system where we had 2 licence plates, 1 in January and 1 in July, that would give the motor trade much more flexibility as well in planning things like staff and in planning things in relation to the year's trade. So that's something that I'm asking the Minister to look at. I brought this up last year and I was told that you would consider it. I know that you've had consultation on the issue since then. I'm hoping that something will be done in the budget of next month, and I'm just wondering if you can let us know what the current state of play is. Is this something that you will consider? Because the motor trade wants it out there, and I don't think any of us here can see any reason why we shouldn't introduce it. Go on.
Thank you. Minister.
And I thank Deputy Hannigan for bringing this matter to the attention of the House and rightly highlighting the importance of the motor industry to the whole economic recovery of this country, and highlighting some of the difficulties that they're going through right now. As he said, Count Corla, the Minister for Finance, Deputy Noonan, indicated in last year's budget that he this year would review all of the issues surrounding vehicle registration tax and motor tax revenues for future years. And that work has taken place this year. And obviously any outcome from that will emerge in the budget in 2 weeks' time. I think it is the case that I think the real problem here, of course, some years ago, when the new motor tax system was being introduced, there was an understandable bias towards low-emission cars. And what's interesting from the figures I have here, that 96% of new cars purchased in 2011 were in the first 3 CO2 emission bands, where the VRT rates are lower. So this, people who bought very new cars with low emission paid very little tax indeed, and I think that put out of kilter, if you like, the total revenue yield from motor taxation. The consultation process attracted 34 submissions from various sources. The Motor Industry's representative association, the Society of the Irish Motor Industry, submitted a comprehensive document setting out its proposals in this regard. Aside from its proposals on VRT and motor tax, the industry also put forward proposals in relation to the issues surrounding the seasonality of the motor industry, and in this regard proposed the introduction of a second registration period, which it felt would bring a degree of stability to the sector in terms of employment levels. Some of the proposals contained, Count Corla, in the consultation paper were already contained in SIMA's pre-budget submission to the Minister in respect of Budget 2012 and have again been included in the 2013 submission. The industry asked that consideration be given to a number of initiatives that it felt will protect employment and give some stability to the motor industry, while at the same time generating some additional revenue for the Exchequer. They pointed out that one of the biggest problems facing motor retailers is the seasonality of car sales in Ireland, as the Deputy referred to. Each year, new car sales become more and more compacted in the first quarter of the year, 48% in 2010, 53% in 2011 last year. The industry is becoming more seasonal each year, leading to funding and cash flow issues that add to the uncertainty and the instability. As a result, they say the following issues arise. As car sales become more seasonal, so does employment in the industry, as businesses overstretched early in the new year and over-resourced later in the year. The costs associated with the seasonal business mean that motor retailers require large funding arrangements with their banks at the start of the year. The costs associated with holding stock back, both new and used, are the largest cost after labour costs. Motor retailers need to have sufficient floor space for the first 3 months of the year and generally do not require this space throughout the rest of the year. As the vehicle was first registered is obvious on the Irish number plate, there's a strong emphasis on the age of the car. If a motor retailer is holding used stock over the change in the year, these vehicles will be perceived by the customer to be a year older, leading to depreciation of that vehicle. Proposals put forward by the Society of Irish Motor Industry, together with a wide range of proposals submitted to the Minister for Finance from a large number of interested parties in issues across tax heads, are all being considered in the context of the forthcoming budget, Ceann Comhairle. I'm sure that the Deputy will appreciate that I can't comment on what will or will not be in that budget, but I want to reassure him on behalf of the Minister for Finance that his proposal is being actively considered in the context of submissions that have come in from the industry to see how the implementation of that proposal would genuinely affect the industry, which we all appreciate is going through a very rough time at the moment.
Deputy Hannigan, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Ceann Comhairle, and thank you, Minister, for your response. It's quite detailed. I've had a number of these German matters down in the past, and I have to say I take it from your response that it's potentially quite a positive outcome here. I don't expect you to comment on that, Minister, but I do look forward with interest to this particular aspect of the forthcoming budget, and I hope that we can do something to try to regenerate sales within the motor trade industry. Thank you.
The Minister for Finance is fully aware, Ceann Comhairle, of the stress of the motor industry in Ireland. He also recognises, as he said last year in his budget statement, that the way in which motor tax is currently put in place gives an enormous bias towards top-end, low CO2 cars. So we're going to have to balance that out. I think it's not going to be a surprise to people, his announcements in the budget concerning the way in which the tax issue is going to be resolved. On the question that the Deputies referred to as to whether or not having a second time of the year when the registration could occur, it's something that he and the Department are looking at following the consultation that emerged within the industry, and it is under active consideration, and I have no doubt that the Minister will have due regard to your comments last year and this year in terms of bringing forward those proposals, but I don't want to second guess what might be in the budget.
Thank you very much.